everyone. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Chew on This. Vlada, how are you today?
I'm doing amazing, and
Are you setting up the technical part of it, huh?
I am. I love my facial expression when we start because my eyes are
You're like, what's
all on
happening?
the. Yes, exactly. But it's all good, and I'm ready to chew on this.
What are we chewing on today? Well, first of all, before we get down to the actual topic, I would like us to give a quick intro to those who are watching this for the first time. Let me go first since I'm already speaking. I am Anna Gandrabura. I'm a bootstrap founder. I'm the founder of English for IT, which is a quite unique project that I started back in Ukraine before I moved it to the United States. We teach English and soft skills to people who work in tech or who would like to work in tech. So we work with tech companies, helping them train their workforce, their international workforce. So that's what I have been doing for the past many years of my life.
Not to be
Right.
named. Fantastic. Well, and I am Vlada Lotkina. I'm also originally from Ukraine. I'm an exited software founder in EdTech, having scaled my company ClassTech to 5 million users. I was VC backed in that journey. And now I just this week publicly announced Elevator Lab, where I get to do the best job of all, support other founders, bootstrapped or not, or those that raised or raising, to achieve their dreams, to build the company from idea to exit to scale, and to avoid many mistakes and hard lessons learned that I have done for you.
I love this. Well, first of all, Vlada, congratulations on the new venture launch. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure you're going to be successful, and I'm very happy for all these founders that are going to work by your side because you're an amazing mentor from what I've seen, and obviously, I'm privileged to pick your brain when I need that, being your friend. But yeah, I'm like I said, founders are lucky. They're lucky that you exited your company, and now you can share. You have the time to share, right?
Absolutely. And I love it. I think that's instead of taking energy, it brings me energy, which is really when you know you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So today we're speaking about bootstrapping versus fundraising.
Absolutely. Yes. I think it's one of the most research trending topic, right, about fundraising, especially because we went through the cycle of abundance of early stage funding for startups, and many startups raised big rounds and scaled, and then lack of that funding. And so over the last couple of years, a lot of new founders obviously struggle to raise, as well as companies that raised previously at high valuations struggle to adjust and sort of recapitalize and figure out what to do. But I want to propose something fun, Anna, today. So because I raise, I
As
want to
always.
I want to advocate for not raising and actually give you some um, great reasons not to. And Anna can maybe pick the other side. Um,
This is usually hard, but that's the way. I mean, there are no easy ways, right, in life.
exactly. Apparently, it's a technique actually that um, opens your mind to other side, right? And
Yeah.
I think that we as society actually have to do more of that. We should actually argue, try to take your opponents or point of view and actually argue from that standpoint, and that will make us more aware and actually supportive of each other, and can even change our mind.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I don't know. I'm excited and curious to see what's going to happen at the end. But so, what's your first argument? What? Why not to raise?
Well, the first argument is majority of companies should not raise. The And that means if your market is too small and you cannot provide um, outsized returns, right? You cannot exponentially scale because of the kind of market or problem you are solving. Um, you should not raise, right? Because if you're talking about venture raise, and these investors are taking huge risk, and so they are looking for outsized returns to really correct for that risk profile. And so if you're not in a huge market, you just can't really scale at to that level. Two is really your vision and what you want to do with your company, right? If you're not prepared to get on that rapidly moving train for many years, you should not raise, because that's what it takes to build and scale a venture backed company. It's, you don't have a choice to say, hey, I want to kind of slow down, and not expand and not do this, because you've promised, sort of those outsized returns. And then three is business model, right? So I sometimes talk to founders who say, hey, I have this go to market consultancy, I'm thinking of raising money. First of all, I don't know who's going to give you money, but two is, just based on the fundamentals of the business, it is really hard to raise venture scale because your margins are not that big given your how that business model scales. And that's why typically the companies that raise venture funding are tech or tech enabled, right? So it could be commerce, e-commerce, could be um, tech software or hardware directly, but they need to be able to scale exponentially, and that's the definition of venture profile investment.
Well, Richard, great points. I have a couple of comments. Do you want me like to go? I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, please.
Yeah. So, with the what you just said, the last point about the go to market strategy, you mean like companies that are service companies? They're not in the venture scope.
Generally, yes. I mean, unless they have some innovative way that they figure out how robots are doing the service, right? And then they become service providers, but they're tech enabled. So that allows them to scale. And so each incremental customer costs them pretty much nothing or less and less, right? But if you're in a traditional service business, let's say you're selling consulting projects or things like that, or providing, I don't know, a lead generation service, you need to hire more people to generate more leads. And so that just doesn't scale exponentially.
Oh, yeah, yeah, this is true. I mean, I agree and I disagree with
All
the
right, go
your
for it.
your second point when you said that you have to you have to commit, you have to make a commitment for many years, no slow down because you have to you have those outside returns to make, right? Wait, well, so to be honest, this is the same with the bootstrap business. It's the same with like anything pretty much, right? I mean, the worst case scenario with what I've seen, people who actually raised for their startups, like yeah, the founder went like completely was completely burned out, like he couldn't do it and he
Right.
just stepped down, you know, and the company was like still doing it but without him, but you know that would happen. But to be honest, I would say that that's something that is investor money unrelated technically, right? If you decide to embark on this founder journey, the reason why we're laughing when we say embark because of chat gpt language, right? So
Tech enabled. Our show is tech enabled. We're
yeah,
embarking.
our show is very tech enabled, and we are using the tech enabling words like lingo. So yeah, so you have to you have to commit to a number of years. For example, I'm not sure if this is the correct information, but I think Mailchimp, right, is a bootstrap company. But before they became like this like super profitable, it took 20 years. 20 years of bootstrapping That's a long time. That's a long commitment, but like that's what people do, regardless whether they raised money or they bootstrap their business. And so my comments regarding in favor of fundraising, right? So when you are when you're bootstrapping your business, you're by yourself, you're alone. Yeah. And you are going to be lucky and privileged if you have this circle of people, circle of trust, like circle of mentors, circle of advisors, or you're able to build it, which usually doesn't happen if you're a bootstrap founder, because that's tough, because you're like you don't have that network. If you do have the network, this is great. Maybe that's an opportunity for you to bootstrap, you leveraging that network. But it doesn't usually happen when you're a first time founder. It happens when you're a second time founder. Then, yeah, bootstrapping when you're second time founder, you already know the ins and like, everything. Not everything, but a lot of things. And you have that support, the network. As a first time bootstrap founder, it's really hard out there. And that's why it takes forever. It takes forever. It takes more than many years, like you said, in fundraising. And I believe that if you are able to fundraise smart money, that's the benefit. That's your benefit over bootstrapping. Because if you're able to raise smart money, it means that you are also building the network of people who are going to support and advise you and help you. But yeah, if you're just raising money, that's why, yesterday I was on the panel, and there's like the other panelist said, all money is not good money, right? So this is like, talking about fundraising. Yeah, you can't be just like taking any like everything that is being like given or offered you. So that's what I think. This is, if you really want to build it fast, like, Vlada, how many years did it take for you
Yeah,
to
it
like?
took me 8 years, and I completely buy your argument about it just takes way, way longer because you cannot put fuel in the fire, right? And sort of scale what's, the model that can be scaled, right? And to that end, we talk about venture investor investments, but there are other investments such as angel investments, right? Or maybe family offices. Typically they can have a different expectation about returns and things like that, right? Blending in impact maybe, or some specific geographies or other reasons, right? So I don't want to generalize sort of that return expectation, but I actually disagree with you about value add investors. I was lucky to have brilliant, brilliant investors. And yes, they are smart money, and um, they had great reputation that opened many doors, but those doors were not customer doors. And I think I often hear from founders saying, oh, I really want to raise in the US because, these people gonna give me introductions and they're gonna help me build my business. No, you're gonna build your business. Nobody else will, right? And it just doesn't exist, right? So from my experience, again, and I've been blessed to have amazing investors. They can be extremely helpful in a broad strategic thinking around fundraising strategy about your next round, about introductions to those next investors. That, yes. But nobody knows your product. Nobody knows your customers better than you are. So it's a myth. I think this idea that these people who have large portfolios, and you have one portfolio one, right? So in a way, you're one of, I don't know, 100, 300, however many people that are running the race and in these investments. From your perspective, you have all eggs in one basket, right? So there is no one else who's going to do what you're going to do. And frankly, just not to finger point, but I didn't have that expectation whenever I asked about some things related to the business directly. Frankly, nothing really came out of it, but they were very helpful in that kind of broad strategic kind of capital related questions regarding exit, M&A. Overall, we had a board with some of our major investors. So that was really helpful from a, again, like micro level, but not in building my business. Nobody would go and, get me new clients or open new doors or things like that. Just, I think it's so, so rare.
No, totally. Well, I agree with you. Definitely, they're not on the level on that level to think about business processes, of course. But I meant exactly what you just said. They can open doors, and then you have to figure out how, like, what to do behind those doors, like how to talk to people, what to ask for, and things like that. But yeah, but like when you're a bootstrap founder, and if you don't have that network, even those like opportunities like you missing on these opportunities, right? So for example, for you being a founder who raised and just being able to send an emails like, can you please like give me an intro to this person, that's like 5 minutes, right? But like for a bootstrap founder, you need to do like all the reach outs, like, or go to conferences, or meeting people. That's a lot of time. And as a founder, like you have other things. You like you said, you have things is product market fit, you have building your customer base and other things. So definitely that. Another thing that I am thinking about, fundraising, is that when you're fundraising, you are getting yourself into that structured model of like things you need to do and things you need to learn. So for
Mhm.
example, I bootstrap English for IT. Nobody told me to go to an like accelerated program. Nobody told me to like take the course, or like, and because I'm building business. I am a street smart founder. I'm doing things based on like my feelings. I don't know, intuition, books and things like that. But when I moved to the United States, I moved for a reason, right? I moved because I had this startup idea. This is the upgrade for English for IT. I had an idea to build the metaverse for learning languages, and as a startup component to the company that I already have, because I didn't want to raise for English for IT. It's a separate product, right? And so when I moved to the States to pursue that idea, immediately I got myself into an accelerator program, one accelerator, second accelerator, right? And I'm like, okay, and these are the things that I need to learn to build a company. And they're very structured, and they're like step by step. I
Right.
need to like product market fit. This is what I need to do. And other thing, this is what I need to do. So I feel that when you bootstrapping this business, you don't have that knowledge, and you don't even think that you can get that knowledge, because you think that you don't need an accelerator program because you're not raising well as a bootstrap, like, but so that's the misconception that I think some people might have, that you can't apply for an accelerator because the final, I mean, the final result of any accelerator program or incubator program is that you are pitching investors, right? So like if you're not raising money, then why do you need to go through this? But I think that even for a bootstrap founder, these programs are so important, or like courses that will teach you like tidbits about
I,
like certain things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, but again, I think knowledge and investment don't go hand in hand, right? And there are different forms, right? And so Elevator Lab is specifically that, right? It's a mentorship program where, yes, it is about how to pitch investors, how to build relationships, how, if that's what you want, right? But if you want to bootstrap, it's really about different
I'm
kinds of
glad you said
training.
that. I'm glad you said that because at Elevator Lab, you are catering to all sorts of founders and businesses, right? But
Correct.
like tech supported with the tech idea. I understand you're not gonna help with my consulting business. Just kidding, just kidding.
On the side,
Um,
consultant helping with
consultant on the side, yeah, but that's great. That's great that you're making it clear. But if you think about major accelerator
right,
programs, that's not what it is. And I feel like that's what that's the disadvantage. Or if you decide to bootstrap, that's a
right,
disadvantage because you're just you don't have this like structured program that will help you. Well, if you don't need to raise, so
right. Yeah, that's a great point. So yeah, so I think that nowadays there are multiple mentorship options. In fact, when I was starting the company, I went through one, and that inspired me after exit to start Elevator because of how much I benefited from that. I learned from that program. I actually went through Accelerator too, um, but I learned from that program 10x more.
What was the program?
It
What
was
was
really
the
specifically for SaaS founders,
okay?
from idea to exit. And so it was very specific, but it was really deep and it was hands on and it had a really great community. And so, to your point about sort of getting access to that community, I think a lot of these programs, they offer that opportunity. And in fact, some of the friendships have been very long standing, and I still am in touch with some of the folks that we were building businesses at this together at the same time.
Yeah,
Um,
but like my point is that when you're bootstrapping, there's a bigger chance that you're just doing it by yourself and you're not
right.
even seeking that community because it's not so popularized like
Yes, exactly.
a course for bootstrap founders. So I think you should double down on this knowledge and speak about this
Yeah.
inside of the elevator, and like when you're sharing some valuable insights with the founders,
Yeah.
and just highlighting that it's not only fundraising, it's also bootstrapping, but product is important, right? Product and getting customers, that's important, and then you can decide whether you're going to bootstrap it or fundraise for it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's actually what I wanted to talk about is I think there are a lot of founders who don't have venture backable metrics, especially if they're sort of C to Series A, and they can spend a long, long time fundraising without much success, right? And I think honestly, it can be a waste of time, right? Or it is waste of time, actually,
Hmm.
completely honest, because
So you mean like they need to focus, they rather focus on,
they need to focus on building a business, right? And
yeah,
so
instead of
if
like
you,
raising
yeah,
with
instead
the
of
real
raising, because
metrics.
raising is a full-time job. So if you don't have a team to actually, continue scaling business the way that you need, or if you don't have the performance to back your fundraise, let's say you didn't double at least or triple your business or whatever metric is, maybe it's customers. These days it's preferable revenue, right? So it's actual money, or even some folks, especially on the East Coast, they prefer profitability as opposed to West Coast. That's always kind of more focused on scale. But if you don't have those metrics, you can spend 12, 18 months or however many months trying to raise, and it's just really, really hard unless you have established network um, of people who would just believe in you no matter what, right? And many of us, especially immigrant founders, just don't have that network. So yes,
Yeah.
you can paint this big vision, but if you can't bring to the table actual up and to the right chart that clearly shows how your train is leaving the station, right? Because at the end of the day, that fundraising, typically the early stage, it happens at very small numbers. Okay, you went from, I don't know, 100K to 300K. Yes, you tripled, but these numbers are funny and small, right? They're not funny and small to you as a founder, but they're funny and small to a venture fund. But what they want to see is that then they can see how you go from 300 to a million, and a million to 3 to 9, and then it becomes interesting. But so the whole point is about the trajectory, not the absolute numbers themselves.
Yeah, well, so there's like a dilemma here, once you, if you can, so would you rather, okay, here's a question. Would you rather start bootstrapping and then raise, or never raise at all?
I think it is not one size fits all. I think, again, going back to the business and the business fundamentals, I think it depends on my vision of the business and how big I think truly the opportunity is, right? So if I feel that I have this massive opportunity and I have something that works, I think raising makes a ton of sense because you can really accelerate, like shorten that path, right? Like you said, right? It takes years and years and years to build something, but you can just accelerate that path. So, and again, I think that's an excellent point, Anna. And I know we're coming up on time, but the the great story here is there is a lot of nuance, right? Just because you raise at an early round doesn't mean that you need to keep raising, or if you didn't raise, it doesn't mean that you cannot raise at a later stage, right? It's a fluid strategy that needs to meet the opportunity and your vision for the business. And of course, once you raise any money, you have a fiduciary responsibility to be a great steward of that investment and of your shareholders.
I think I totally agree with you what you said at the beginning, that you have these responsibilities and outside returns, and definitely that's a lot of stress and pressure on you, I guess, because you're responsible. I mean, of course,
Right.
it depends what kind of personality you are.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong, right? Like for me, that would be like, I know for you too. Like you, I'm pretty sure you felt that pressure. I'm pretty sure that Class Tech didn't have 5 million followers, or well, followers, 5 million users right away. So yeah, so that's that you have to be like really resilient as a founder, taking other people's money and being responsible for that. So definitely, that was an amazing conversation.
Yes, I
So
really
deep.
loved it. And if you guys have comments or questions, very obviously, we didn't talk about strategies for fundraising. That's another
That's
topic
coming
that
up. That's coming up.
it's
Yeah.
coming up. So if you were not convinced by my arguments to not fundraise, we
Well,
can talk about how
I'm
to.
also curious to see comments regarding who needs help fundraising, or who needs some advice on bootstrapping company. I think that's something that we can also unfold in our next
Yeah,
episodes. So let us know if you're interested in the topic of fundraising and bootstrapping, and what exactly you're interested in. So drop some ideas in the comments, and we will make sure to come up with some intriguing and thought-provoking topic to chew on. In the
that's
meantime,
exactly
follow
right.
us on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. It's Anna Gandrabura. You can see it on the screen. And Vlada Lotkina. Just Google that. Remember,
Awesome.
you need to work too, right?
Yes, exactly, exactly. Well, have a wonderful day. Thank you, Anna. It was a joy, and I love this topic.
I loved it too. Thanks so much. And bye till the next time, next Thursday.
Next Thursday, 1 p.m.